Hey everyone, it's Brian. I'm sort of trying something new where the topic that I'm covering kind of crosses across two platforms that I publish material on and share material. One is Tiny Crypto Blog because that's what initially sort of sparked the thought that came to mind, a cryptocurrency related topic, but also two on Epoch Blog because this covers a topic that I think is relevant there as well. I think of myself as sort of a chronicler, and the events that we are experiencing and that I'm about to talk of, I think encompasses both perspectives. So earlier today, I was watching a video that was talking about how there were people who were petitioning to get a recall of Seattle's mayor on the ballot. And it was by one political wing, and the result was like the other side of the political spectrum would probably be able to jump on board as well. But what became apparent in my intuitive mind was this recognition that, and let me back up a step and say, with the coronavirus has come in and destroyed everything. It smashed up everything. It broke everything. And it needed to. I've said this before in different videos, mainly on Epoch Blog, but the coronavirus came about and has set into motion a series of events and consequences that humanity did not partake on its own. It's sort of like an illness. When a body experiences an illness, like say you're overworking, your body will take on illness to manifest the circumstances and the physical manifestations of not responding to the distortions, the energetic distortions in your field, in your space. You know, when you're overworked, you become vulnerable to illness. Well, you develop an illness. That illness is a manifestation of the choices you make, which it's can be interpreted as your body's way of saying, hey, slow down. Hey, get a new job. Hey, change your life around in some way. And this sort of thing applies across the full spectrum, an individual, an entire species. And humanity had reached a point where its reliance on centralized systems, the pendulum, and I've said this before on numerous channels, the pendulum going from centralization more to a decentralized, individualized, face-to-face, peer-to-peer, localized type of level is where we're swinging. And because humanity was not of its own will making the changes to sort of move with the pendulum, the circumstances manifested where all this happened, where 2020 happened. And we have the coronavirus came and broke everything. And we're seeing this in many ways. We're seeing this in, for example, schooling, where people are starting to take it upon themselves in ways they probably would have never chosen before to homeschool children. Because the educational model, at least in the United States, the educational model is broken. It is an old structure and design that became solidified, I guess you could say calcified, because of different selfish interests, which may not be malevolent selfishness, but it became so locked in and rigid that we have this model we have today. That model is broken. The monetary system, that's been broken. The idea of an inflationary monetary supply, which always is growing, meaning there's an ever-growing supply of money regardless of if the amount of activity or productivity expands. And this monetary system has incentives that is what we have today of more productivity, more growth, more profits, bigger markets, bigger companies, expand, 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 to where it falls into this model of centralization. Centralized distribution system, centralized management, centralized accounting centers, and everything being centralized. Well, coronavirus broke that, where those systems like the manufacturing and distribution system is going to become more localized. As far as the currency, we're seeing the debasement of currencies. We're seeing how how our monetary, all the faults, how it can be manipulated, how people have been goosing it for years, how it's akin, and this is in other things too, as far as how we organize ourselves socially, how we interact, how we view our relationships. We've been forced together for people in quarantine areas. We're forced together in ways we never had before because we had our school, we had our work, we had our commutes, we had time away from people, and then we were there for limited amounts of time. But then now we're together 24/7, and we have to learn to live together, and it presses and pushes the issue of personalities and interaction and how we understand and react and behave in that dynamic. Coronavirus broke that too. And there's numerous other examples I could give, but to tie all this in with the mayor of Seattle, what it's highlighting is that the systems in place had so much momentum and so much structure to it. Structure to maintain it, to maintain them, that it allowed for mediocre people of mediocre ability, mediocre talent, mediocre quality, mediocre inspiration to come in and be in these positions. Because we're seeing a breakdown of how, when it comes to policy decision making, quarantines in states, handling coronavirus, how to handle cases, how to handle public policy as far as trying to mitigate prevention spread. We're seeing that there were a lot of mediocre, the momentum of the systems was carrying itself, and all people need to do, we just need an average manager, someone to fill the spot, someone who could do a passable job. They didn't have to be of any extraordinary quality or character. And oftentimes, because of the rot, because of this institutionalization, because the systems kept moving on their own momentum, they got goosed. They got goosed by the people who were able to manipulate the rules, who were able to create the rules, who were able to get people in positions of authority and decision making to change the rules to their benefit and behavior. All of this is coming. Coronavirus smashed that up, because after there's a recall of a Seattle mayor, even just putting on the ballot, it's going to wake other people up and go, you know what? We're not happy with how things are either. We're not happy with these systems. We're not happy with how they are. And we're seeing with protests that energy is there. The rising human consciousness is here, it's alive, it's expanding. And we have the level of consciousness and awareness to say there needs to be a change. It's not just like 20 years ago when he joked, yeah, Chicago politicians are corrupt. They get away with everything, blah, 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 those damn SOBs, so on and so forth. Now, when it happens, we have this cognizant level of awareness that it's no longer just an offhanded comment that seems very foggy and distant. It's right in our faces, and it's not able to be ignored. It's like that family member you're stuck with 24/7. It is there. I'm starting to see, like with schooling, with positions of authority, rulemaking, corporations, the structure of our work model, in this very large, slow motion wave. Everything is starting to break down. Everything that's not evolving and changing with the rising consciousness of humanity is being exposed as such. And everything will be touched. Nothing will be untouched. Only those few random crumbs that fall off to the side. Everything is being carried along in this wave. And this would lead to the part for Tiny Crypto Blog, which also leads to the monetary system. Accountability in our monetary system. Honesty and having sound money and not having a system that is manipulated and basically the toy of the wealthy and powerful who would manipulate it for their own benefit. And not everyone does it out of malice or some malevolence. Some people it's just, hey, I'm trying to get myself ahead. I have these connections. We change the rules. A lot of it is like that. Hanlon's Law, never attribute to malice. That can be attributed to just plain stupidity. And I think people give a little bit too much, personally, a little bit too much credence to coordination and thinking that, there is a grand conspiracy of whatever it is. A lot of it is just, this is the momentum, and a lot of people just run with that. And it just tumbles and rolls that way. And because this monetary system is going to be one of the things, absolutely, that coronavirus is going to break. And it's going to change and transform. The honesty, the transparency, the availability and accessibility of cryptocurrencies, open source, decentralized cryptocurrencies, means it is in the perfect place to be that pillar, that rock that withstands the storm, that people can latch onto and grab onto and be good with. And in that respect, we're going to see this slow motion dance going on. And when you couple that with everything else that I've ever said and that we've learned about cryptocurrencies, that they decentralize cryptocurrencies, that the interest is growing, the utilization is growing, the applications that make it more user-friendly is growing, the trend is up, up, up. It's just increasing. And to this end, it's just another reason why I say, and this isn't financial advice, mind you, this is just me sharing my opinion, but buy a little Bitcoin. You might thank yourself later. Worst case scenario, you sell it and get your money back. Or you lose a little, or you gain a little. But if you're my friend and you're asking me, Brian, should I get a hold of some cryptocurrencies or just some Bitcoin? I would say, it might be something you definitely want to look into. So, for the people of Epoch Blog that see this, here's a crossover for you. Yes, do look at cryptocurrencies if you haven't yet. It's definitely worthwhile. I suggest you go over to Tiny Crypto Blog, one of my other blogs, websites, channels, whatever they'd be labeled today, and I share information to help people learn the basics and kind of build that framework of understanding of the space. And then for the people on Tiny Crypto Blog, if you're interested, you can go over to Epoch Blog, see some of the stuff I consider like higher truths, deeper truths, however you want to label that. It's worth checking out. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this video and say thanks for watching. I hope that I could provide you with some insights today. And if you want to see more, if you like it, hit the subscribe button. You can always do a like. If you want to help the channel, the best thing you can do is share a video with people and just say, hey, I found this information useful. You might like it too. And with that, I'll wrap it up.
Thanks for watching, everyone. You can stay up to date on new videos, posts, and commentary at tinycryptoblog.com and on the social media platforms listed below. Be well, everyone. Talk to you soon.